It's a reminder as usual. We're here to see a horror movie. Whoever is afraid goes home. Style. It's a story from the 1988 Livingstone murder. There was a man named Mata. Livingstone murdered 4 of his friends. It's related to a kind of suspicion. Some god's sacrifice. After the case happened, this place also happens a lot. Supernatural. Although during that time there were some rituals. Exorcism. Every time I talk about this house, people still not out. Take your time back to the present. At the scene of Livingstone's murder that year, it's now a famous ghost house. In the area that night, the neighbors nearby heard strange noises coming out of the house. Should have come to check. As a result, they opened the door and saw a large pool of blood. After receiving the notification, police officer Mark, who was nearby, arrived at the scene. After arriving at the scene, he discovered that many people had been murdered. There are many strange devices in the house, and the music box in a room is still playing. As soon as the police are checking in. But soon after, this person rolled down the stairs unconscious. Not long after the police arrived at the scene. After the search, they found out there are a lot of cameras in the house monitoring, but the recorded images were all lost for unknown reasons, although it can be restored. But it takes a lot of time. Then the police officer Mark is looking for the man who fell. Stairs to find out. Turns out this guy's name is John. I met John and was excited. Asked the police, hurry up and find your girlfriend. John said that his girlfriend was taken away by her ex-boyfriend. The police officer asked what happened. Who eventually killed these people? John replied that it was the house. It turns out John and his friends are here to summon souls. The result is to wake up the sleeping devil. Because there were no fingerprints on the weapon, John's girlfriend, she disappeared with her ex-boyfriend. We still don't know who's responsible. To be able to quickly find out the truth, the police officer specifically invited a psychiatrist. I hope it can be collected. 10 more clues from John. Under the comforts of a psychiatrist, John slowly lowers his guard and tells the truth. The whole story started a week ago. John told his girlfriend that day, I always dreamed of my mother when I was young. Appeared in the Livingstone haunted house. To dream that his mother was always smiling and telling him to let go. But he doesn't understand. What does this strange dream signal? To help you answer your doubts, girlfriend has actively gathered to form a ghost hunting team. He goes to the haunted house that John dreams of to find out. The ghost house. This is the scene of the 1988 Livingstone murder. Mentioned in the beginning of the film. Because of girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. John is also a member of the ghost hunting team. John was also very unhappy. 6 members of the ghost hunting team, including John's girlfriend's name is missing. Missing's ex-boyfriend Brian has Samuel, Kater and Donald Ba, who belong to the technical team. When they said they were going to the haunted house to summon spirits. This also makes the doctor psychologically related to Livingstone 1988. The doctor suspects that someone maybe imitated the manner of the crime more than 25 years ago. The picture goes back to before the crime. As soon as the 6 of them entered the haunted house, John suddenly had a nosebleed. Kater, maybe it's a ghost nearby, has caused a change in pressure. But Samuel. Besides, it doesn't feel so simple. The doctor was curious. Why did Samuel suspect that? John then reveals another secret. Turns out my mother, John, was the only survivor of the murder. Livingstone 1988. But he didn't. Tell this story to your friends. Come along then. Donald and Carter saw Mata's portrait. Livingstone was the perpetrator of that year's case. Next to it hangs a picture of sparrows. The cutter explained that the bird, it's an important symbol in the supernatural. I heard that this bird is a messenger of the devil. When the cutter is installing the camera, she found on the wall an inverted cross. Then she turned the cross around. As he left the room, the cross automatically come back again. Somewhere else, Missing was walking around filming. The figure of an old woman is afraid of appearing behind her back. Then, John and Missing went to the other rooms to install the camera. Suddenly, the flashlight broke down. The door of the room was suddenly glossy. Kater heard the noise and rushed over. I saw the toilet door opening automatically. When silk sand. When I checked, I seemed to see a shadow. Missing in the back. It felt like someone was touching my feet. The police, despite trying to find evidence through the camera, surveillance, but important scenes about the crime has not been recovered. Then, the doctor also told the police that John's mother, he was the only survivor of the 1988 murder. I hope the police, I can help her find the videos that John's mother was interviewed for. After inspection, police, it turns out that only one of them has an ex-boyfriend. Brian has a criminal record. And in the recovered videos, before being murdered, Samuel used the word him to refer to the perpetrator. So the police suspect the culprit is definitely John. Or Brian's missing. And then the police found a lot of traces. Blood in the tunnel of the house. This made him even more suspicious. The culprit is John. The police officer thought John may be deliberately mimicking the murder. Livingstone 1988. And maybe it's just John's girlfriend. Some of them escape. This also coincides with John's mother. He was the only one who survived. Facing the police's suspicions, John denies it and said, "I'd never hurt them, even if his girlfriend is pregnant." The picture goes back to before the crime. John accidentally found out in the bedroom. There's a strange music box. The reason it's weird is because every time you move your position, it will automatically play music. And when it stops, the doll on the music box is always pointing in the same direction. Then they go in the direction that the doll points to. Discovered under the carpet in the living room to hide a large circle through a ghost detector. Catter also detect the magnetic field of the most powerful haunted house. I suspect that this circle might be some kind of seal. It's because there are so many different types. So she also... I don't know which demons this seal is connected to. However, it can be confirmed that this is the best place to call the soul. This time missing. I'm suddenly reminded of the murder that happened here in 1988. Maybe the killer was controlled by the devil. But John said that Mata, not controlled. And the devil doesn't have to control her, because she's had mental problems for a long time. Before the case happened. Right now, the other rooms suddenly made strange noises when they're struggling to find the source. That sound. Then a sparrow flies out from the other rooms. After a while, the bird fell. Die in the middle of the seal circle. Do you remember the kids? Before that, the cutter said that the sparrow is the devil's messenger. And what just happened wasn't just that. It's a coincidence. And then strange things started happening in quick succession. The first is Brian. He saw someone very similar appeared to himself, in front of, but immediately the enemy disappeared without a trace. Samuel was walking around the room. Then suddenly discovered. The magnetic field signal spikes soon after. But when I bend down to check, there is nothing under the bed. Catter at the same time. I also saw a shadow at the corner of the stairs. But the enemy also disappeared without a trace. Here, Donald took out a very sensitive microphone. I heard it can pick up the sound frequencies that the ear who can't hear. At first, the device could only detect 3 of them in the room. But soon after, heart rate detection increased from but to 7. But strangely, there were only 3 of them in the room. As soon as the heroine looks around with the camera, before anyone else understands what's going on, John suddenly shouted for fire. And John is also very adept at getting a fire extinguisher. This action makes everyone present. They all feel suspicious because this is the first time they've been here. Do SAO John know the location of the fire extinguisher? Not only that, he doesn't even need to look now. Known behind the wallpaper, the tear is a photo taking a little girl, and behind the frame there's a circle in the press. It's harder to understand than he said. There's a woman standing behind the cutter. Everyone present is confused. Carter was dragged to another room. Notice the situation is not right. John offered to leave the house quickly. Brian and Carter both agree. They think they give up like that, they will definitely be ridiculed. Maybe their ghost hunting team is here to see ghosts. See the perseverance of your friends. John decided to take his girlfriend away. Brian called John back. Turns out he knew early on the only one to survive a murder that took place here in 1988. She was John's mother. Brian thinks that if you can contact the spirit of John's mother, this may help to solve the secret of the nightmare that John had. Think about, my friends are here to help me. Questioning doubt in a dream. So John decided to stay and call the spirits. But then when he went to get water, he was stunned, finding yourself in the mirror, and spit out a living sparrow. To see this scene, John hurried back to the team. Before the start of the catter calling ritual, reminding them, now we no longer call the soul, because it's here. We're just trying to talk to him. In the process, everyone has to hold hands. If the ghost appears, it will be controlled by us. But the ritual has just begun. The candles around them went out. A cold wind coming through the heat sensor. Brian saw behind John. There are some shadows slowly approaching. John's girlfriend is also showing unusual behavior. And with the flashing lights, monitoring system, the police that they had prepared before was also broken. Now John found out. My girlfriend turned into the form of a mother. When he was young, the mother smiled and told him to let go. Do you remember that? Before that, John dreamed that his mother told him the same thing. When you're confused, then the mother suddenly turns into a scary old woman. For a moment, I instinctively let go of my hand. Notice the situation is out of control. Everyone rushed away. But now the door is locked. My girlfriend ran into another room because she was too scared. John is looking for a girlfriend. You see again, Brian is staring at Mata's portrait. Livingston with a strange face. It's like saying we all have to die. John came to wake him up. The psychiatrist hurriedly asked, you mean Brian's been possessed by the devil and then killed my other friends? Joe told the doctor, that's when Brian attacked us with a camera, in which Samuel Cutter Donald was killed on the spot. At the same time, the police also recovered part of the video. Picture in video. Apparently someone just killed his friends. I learned the truth from John. The doctor immediately told Officer Mark. The police also found Brian in an accident. On the run, the police came to the scene to check. He initially thought he was injured and unconscious. While waiting for rescue, Brian robbed the gun, injured the police, and ran away. At the same time, the psychiatrist also found information about the circle at the crime scene online. It turns out that this circle is called the left side road. According to the record, this seal is not connected to a ghost. It's a path to hell. This means that when activated, the seal will release a demon. And to escape from hell, the devil must kill all the participants in the soul calling. Right now, Brian took refuge in a nearby convenience store. To be able to contact him, the police threw a radio at him. But Brian had no intention of negotiating. The police found Brian. John. He asked where he had hidden his girlfriend. I heard John's voice. Brian was also curious to pick up the radio. Strange was that he didn't say anything and he was screaming into the radio. At the same time, John's entire body also suddenly flipped over. And with Brian's screams, John seems to be dying. Aware of the critical situation, the psychiatrist told the police. Mark quickly stopped Brian from screaming. The police also discovered Brian. And raise your gun. In times of urgency, you fed Brian the marshmallow directly. John on the other end of the line calmed down. Then the police officer came next to Brian. I'm looking for some clues about John's girlfriend. But when Brian arrived, he scratched his face. Cross-shaped chain. Then my eyes stopped breathing. The police found out earlier. Brian held the radio roaring. It's not because he was cut off from the grid. The police officer looked at the saint. The price in your hand is connected to something. I feel Brian wanted to say something to me. After returning to the police officer, based on the face, cross-shaped necklaces, quickly discovered a back cabinet. And John's girlfriend. It's also in there. The police also found videos of her. John was interviewed. In VI Dies, John's mother said that when they called Martha, Livingstone suddenly changed his personality and constantly. This information also completely coincides with what? Before this time, the police have also recovered a section. But when the doctor saw the scene, it was amazing in there. It turns out that John lied. Who was staring at the portrait at the time? It's not Brian. It's John. Realized that John lied. The doctor immediately called someone to control him. At the same time, the paramedics were going to take Michael and injured leave the scene. At this point, Misson spoke weakly to the police. He's killed everyone. He was still in the room. Mark immediately returned to that room. I found John's body in the corner. It turns out that the one who was possessed by the devil after was killing John. 3 friends. He's even cruelly cutting Brian's neck, so Brian can't turn him in. Then take advantage of the opportunity to escape by way of the house. Hanged by the devil. To the word itself then, hundreds of sparrows came out of his mouth. Suddenly fly out. These sparrows have taken the form of John. Just before the police officer. Mark at the scene. After discovering John's body, Officer Mark was very angry. Rushed to the psychiatrist. The psychiatrist in front of John said, "Your ritual may not work anymore. Because Misson isn't dead yet." The doctor suddenly found it difficult to breathe. John in front of me calmly said, "The ceremony is not yet 7. John's mother was my soul. She was just lucky to escape. Misson will now become my new soul. As long as she's within the scope of the seal, then we will be free. Right now, Misson was just pushed through that seal by the paramedic. Immediately, Misson was screaming in pain. When the police officer ran to the psychiatrist, I found out there was only one doctor in the room. And in the video that captured the conversation earlier, only the doctor can talk to himself. Somewhere else, Misson was taken to the ambulance. You feel like your stomach is full of something. Although after the test, didn't detect any abnormalities. But when the camera flashed, we also see a block. Strange hue appeared on her belly. The movie is over. Thank you for watching the whole series.